Hey everyone, in this video we're going to kind of go over some of these muscles in the arm. I know I've already done a video where I've covered these muscles up here, but then we're going to dive in and look at the muscles in the antebrachium, so the forearm flexors and then extensors, and we'll just go through there. So just to kind of quiz yourself, I might ask you like, what are the nerves that innervate this? And if you can't answer that before I do, I encourage you to go back and look at this. And as you study, you say, all right, this is the pec muscle. It's innervated by the medial and the lateral pectoral nerves. And it connects into the sternum and the clavicle. And it comes over and sits into the intertubercular groove. Okay? As you study and you look at these and you just say to yourself all of the things that you know about that, when it comes to test day, it's like you're gonna sleep the test the night before. Okay, it's gonna be easier for you. So just go through everything that we've covered so far. So again, pec major, innervated by medial pectoral nerve and lateral pectoral nerve. We get rid of this. We have pec minor sitting underneath it. Which nerve innervates that one? Okay, it's going to be the medial pectoral nerve. We get rid of this. We have serratus anterior. We didn't cover the nerve that innervates it, but that's going to be your long thoracic nerve. We get rid of that. We have subclavius sitting right here. Okay. I don't know the nerve that innervates that one off the top of my head. We could find out, but no need to. Here's our deltoid. It's innervated by the axillary nerve, right? And its origin is along the spine of the scapula. It's going to be the distal part of the clavicle, and then it's coming down into the deltoid tuberosity. Then we've got supraspinatus and infraspinatus. These are innervated by the same nerve, and that's going to be your suprascapular nerve. We'll get rid of these. And then here we have teres minor, and it is innervated by the same nerve as the deltoid, and it is going to be the axillary nerve. And then we've got teres major, and teres major is innervated by the same nerve that's innervating part of this subscapular nerve, and that's going to be the lower subscapular nerve. The other nerve that innervates subscapular is the upper or superior subscapular nerve. Okay, covered all those muscles pretty quickly, right? Now let's move on to the anterior side of the brachium. So we have our biceps brachii. It's got two heads, right? What are the two heads going to? One of them is going to that coracoid process of the scapula, and the other one's going to the supraglenoid tubercle, right? It's innervated by the musculocutaneous nerve. Then we have our brachialis muscle. It is going to be innervated by musculocutaneous. Again, we've got coracobrachialis. It is going to be innervated by musculocutaneous. We have the triceps back here. We've got the long head, the lateral head, and the medial head. What are all three heads innervated by? It's going to be the radial nerve. That radial nerve runs through the what in the humerus? It's going to go through the radial groove, coming through and to this side. All right, so this is where we're going to start diving into stuff that we already know. Well, I mean, don't know. We already covered the stuff that we do know. Let's get rid of this right here, this aponeurosis. So we're going to look at the anterior side first, and then we'll dive into the posterior side. I told you in previous videos there is a single muscle that we really need to pinpoint right from the start to kind of help us uh, break up the flexors and the extensors. That muscle is going to be what? Brachioradialis. So you can see this one right here. If you're following along in the textbook, you'll remember that I had you draw this muscle in, but looking at it from the anterior side, it it sits right there on the lateral side of the antebrachium. If we remove this, now it can get kind of difficult in breaking up which one starts and which one ends, right? So that's where we're at. So make sure you always find brachioradialis first, especially if you're looking at a cadaver. But then let's go ahead and dive in. So we've got these four muscles that are like really superior to the other layers because there's four layers on the anterior side. If you remember, I had you put your fingers on top of your forearm, and your index finger correlates with your pronator teres. Okay, and then that middle finger is going to correlate with your flexor carpi radialis muscle. And as you can see, it's coming down and it's connecting into the carpals on that radial side. And then you have this common tendon between this one and the other two that we'll cover here in a sec. So now you have your ring finger if you're going off of the picture I showed you in in my textbook videos, and that's going to be your palmaris longus muscle. This is going to come in and connect into that palmar aponeurosis right here. Get rid of that, and then we're left with one more. And as you can see, look at this backside, right? That muscle can blend in with the extensors, so it can get kind of tricky. So here's that one right there, flexor carpi ulnaris, connecting into that medial epicondyle and coming down in to the carpals. I apologize if the rotation is driving you crazy. I'm just trying to help you see all of the muscle. So now we're moving into that second layer. And this second layer is going to be the flexor digitorum superficialis, which is right here. And the S in superficialis helps you to remember that it splits. The tendons split. So it comes through where that flexor retinaculum is sitting on top of this. Comes down into digits 2 through 5, and you see it splits. We've seen another tendon split before, or a muscle split, and have another muscle come through it. It was the stylohyoid muscle, remember? And then the digastric comes through and splits in between it. So you've got flexor digitorum superficialis hitting that third layer now. We're seeing flexor digitorum profundus, this deep muscle, profundus meaning deep, right? Coming all the way to the fingertips. Now, still in that third layer, we have flexor pollicis longus. Pollicis meaning thumb. It's going to be on that radial bone, and then the tendon comes down all the way into that phalange. Sitting right there. So then here's our fourth layer. We've got supinator that kind of comes in on this side of the radius, but then you've got your pronator quadratus. So there we go. We have those muscles on the anterior side. So now we'll dive into the ones on the exterior side, or posterior side, not exterior. So we got rid of brachioradialis already, but we would be able to see that right here. And if that's the case, we're going to look at, it's going to be extensor carpi radialis longus. And usually if they have the word longus in them, it means that there's going to be like a brevis. So we have extensor carpi radialis brevis. As you can see right here, there's that tendon from that same muscle, and here's the one from longus. And it's coming up underneath these muscles for the thumb. So we've got longus, brevis, and then still moving from right to left, we'll cover this one, which is adductor pollicis longus, coming into the thumb. And as you can see, it's on the proximal side of the metacarpal. So longus, and then we've got extensor pollicis longus, or brevis, excuse me, extensor pollicis brevis, going to the proximal side of this phalange. And then it's extensor pollicis longus, going to the proximal end of the, the distal phalange. So if you remember just that it's brachioradialis sitting right here, and then you have longus, brevis, come down, longus, brevis, longus. You remember those, it kind of helps you to break that up. So extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis brevis, extensor pollicis longus. Get rid of all these. All right, getting there, right? Here's Anconius. We've already covered that one, I think, a while ago. Now we've just got extensor digitorum right there, coming down into your fingers. Get rid of that. Now we have your extensor digiti minimi. Coming down into the pinky. And if you look on the lateral side of this tendon, that's where you're going to run into your extensor digitorum tendon coming down in here. So if you stay medial, you'll see extensor digiti minimi. Let's actually bring that muscle back, sorry. Alright, so looking at the hand, here's that extensor digitorum. And as you can see, if we stay medial, here's extensor digiti minimi. And then we've got extensor digitorum, extensor digitorum, extensor digitorum. But on your index finger, The tendon that lies medial is going to be extensor indicis. That's going to be the muscle and tendon that allows you to pull your index finger down without really pulling down the other one of your fingers. Okay, so stay medial, extensor digiti minimi coming in through. You've got that ring finger, middle finger, and then sitting medial coming into that index finger is going to be extensor indicis. So extensor digiti minimi. Crazy to think that you have a muscle that just goes straight down into your pinky, and that muscle is the same muscle that's allowing you to bend, well, extend your wrist, right? I guess that's why if you put your palm face down on the table and you lift up your pinky, you can do it without lifting all your other fingers, right? But if you go to lift like your middle finger, it feels like you're having to lift the ring finger as well. And then you've got extensor carpi ulnaris. And if you remember from this other side, you've got you've got flexor carpi ulnaris sitting right there, right next to it. And then here is your extensor indicis. And then in this course, all we really need to know inside the palm is this is your thenar eminence, and then your hypothenar eminence right here. So we won't get into those muscles really. So that's it for this video. I know I didn't really cover the nerves in here in the um, antebrachium, but I encourage you to go back and to write those down in your notes on which nerves innervate those. And we'll go on to the next video. So hopefully I'll see you there. And again, see you next one.
All right, I just want to give credit where credit is due. These are the books and the resources I used for the videos. So first we have Essentials of Human Anatomy by Dr. Kurt Walker. We then have Essential Clinical Anatomy by Keith L. Moore and M.R. Auger and Arthur F. Daly. I also used Structure and Function of the Human Body by Mark Nilsson and Jamie Garbett. The last book I have is The Concise Book of Trigger Points by Simon Neil Asher. And then I used the app called Complete Anatomy. As you've seen from the videos, it's amazing. If you can afford it, I suggest it. It's such a useful tool when learning this stuff. So that's it. Have a good day.